Hey guys, it's Christos here, aka the FRAG, and say hello to my little friend. This is Frankie. When Frankie waves hello to you, his head turns. So I'm just going to put him aside so he can do the monster mash. So we'll just put Frankie over here. And today I'm going to showcase this beautiful Fender made in Mexico Player Series Stratocaster. Say that in one word, in one breath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the segment in a few different parts. First, I'm going to review the guitar. Then I'm going to talk about the guitar's quality and fit and finish straight out of the box and how it came out of the factory, to discuss some of the good things and maybe not some so good things. And then I'm going to finish it off with customizations post-purchase that I'm looking to do on this guitar. And I will say that this particular channel is dedicated to us guitarists and also bassists as well. I do play the bass guitar, and I have done reviews on my Fender Player Precision bass guitar that I've bought recently, and just talking about all things music. So if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to leave any comments, whether you agree or disagree on some of the things that I say, please do so respectfully. So I'm very humbled to do this, and I want to inspire people to pick up a guitar or a bass or a musical instrument in general and play it, because it's one of the few God-given talents that makes you feel so good. And at the same time, whether you're a first-time musician or you're going back up in the attic to grab that guitar or bass that's been in there for God knows how long and it's just accruing dust, it's all about the joy of playing a musical instrument. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reviewing this. Now, I'm not going to do any sound samples in this video. I just want to go through the guitar itself, and then later on in time I'm going to post some videos of me playing along to my favorite music, and also post another video to show you some of the work that I've done on the guitar. So straight off the bat, this is a Stratocaster body. It's alder body here. You've got a beautiful buttercream color with a contrasting black pickguard. So this particular model, the HSH Player Series Stratocaster, come in three colors: buttercream, silver, and also tobacco burst. Now the silver and tobacco burst come in like a varnish finish, if you want to call it that, and the silver comes in a metallic color. I've got that same color on my Fender Player Precision bass, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. This particular guitar is finished in the gloss urethane. You've got a 2-point tremolo here, which is really interesting because on some of the American models you have a 6-screw vintage tremolo, and I appreciate that Fender does that intentionally for period correctness, but the 2-point tremolo, I believe, and I've read a lot of other reviews and you'll see them on YouTube, is actually a better tremolo system in terms of tuning accuracy. So you have the bridge saddles are a shaped steel or contoured steel, and if you can see the bridge saddle screws actually protrude, which sometimes can be a bit of a drag when you're playing. It's like something picking at your skin, but there's ways around it. You can actually buy different length bridge saddle screws, so that way they don't protrude as much, but at the same time they allow you to raise and lower the bridge saddles. So moving on, we've got the pickups here. You've got a humbucker, single coil humbucker. These are Alnico 2, the humbuckers, and the single coil is Alnico 5. So what does Alnico mean? It's just short for aluminium, nickel, and cobalt. And that's the materials that are used to construct the electric guitar. And what I'll do here is I'll just plug it into my multimeter to read the rating of the actual pickup. So this is something that you can do if you have a multimeter, and I definitely recommend that you buy one because it comes in handy for so many different things. And you just set it to 20k because pickups usually have a DC resistance of anywhere between, let's say, 7k and up to about 16 at the most for really, really hot pickups. So then what you do is you take the multimeter nodes and you just attach them onto one part of the lead and another part of the lead. So that black line is what differentiates the bottom part of the lead to the top part. So they're not actually connecting. So if you attach one here, for example, and then attach another one to the top, I get a reading of 8.1K DC resistance, which is, you know, not too hot of a pickup, but you know, it's put more aimed towards a vintage sound. And then when I move it to the neck, because I've lowered the middle pickup on this, I get a DC reading of 7.35. So these are Alnico 2 pickups. So they're designed for more your classic rock, your vintage blues. Can you use it for hard rock? Yes, you can, by all means. Are there better alternatives? Yes, by all means. Can you use these pickups for metal? You can. But what I do find is that when I am playing through my Engel Ritchie Blackmore, and I've got an overdrive in the front, just to sharpen up the gain, I do notice a bit of humming coming from the amplifier, more so than, let's say, a Les Paul. So again, Alnico 2, Alnico 2, Alnico 5, you've got a master volume and 2 tones. For the first time, or at least what I've been reading, is that the tone button knob here actually is dedicated to the bridge pickup, where in previous models you didn't have that capability. In this particular range, the body has been contoured more to a traditional Fender Stratocaster, whilst the previous player or the previous standard series did look and feel like a Stratocaster, but their contour, from what I've been researching, probably wasn't as spot on as, let's say, your traditional Fender Stratocasters. So, older body, 3 colours as I mentioned: HSH, Alnico 2, Alnico 2, Alnico 5, volume, tone, tone. You've got your 5-way switch here. Then you've got a 25.5-inch neck and a 9.5-inch radius fretboard. So what does that mean is that if you take a dot center and then move up 9.5 inches and draw a circle, the curvature of that circle is equal to the curvature of this fretboard. So the greater the radius inches, the more flutter the fretboard is, which makes it really nice for bending. When you get to a classical guitar, it's like 20 inches, so it's really flat, as opposed to your vintage, your 7.25, which sometimes can sort of die out as you're bending. You've got medium jumbo frets. You've got a power ferro fretboard. So there's been a lot of legislation in America that's limited the production of rosewood on electric guitars, because they're being defined as a species of wood that needs to be cut down in production. There's a lot of legislation around that. So, but more to the point, the difference between power ferro and rosewood, what I do find is that rosewood is a little bit more porous. Like, there's little openings in the grain of the rosewood, whilst power ferro is not as porous. But what I do find is that the rosewood tends to feel a little bit smoother than power ferro. Is it noticeably smoother? Does it affect your playing? Not really, but it does have some differences. Does it change or alter the tone of the guitar? I haven't noticed anything that's really made me stop and say, okay, yeah, I can really see the difference here with power ferro. Now, on the back of it, you do get the skunk stripe, and you've got a really nice, I think I mentioned that before, but you've got the nice neck plate there, and you've got also a matching pickguard that's black, white, black, really nice, and it matches the black, white, black pickguard on the front of the body. What I really love about this guitar, the black and yellow contrast, or the buttercream, is that it reminds me of when I was much younger and I picked up Van Halen 2's album cover for the first time, and I turned it around and I saw Eddie Van Halen holding his seminal black and yellow Frankenstrat, and I was like, wow, man, that is one hot looking guitar. So when I saw this, and the fact that it's got humbucker as my preferred pickup configuration, I thought, you know what, and it played really good, which I'll get onto. So you've got a synthetic nut. Fender call it a synthetic bone nut, but synthetic and bone is a contradiction, really. So it's a synthetic nut. Then you've got your Fender tuners, which are also marked at the back with Fender, just to add that really nice touch. So it's a really nice appointment. The chrome on this guitar really looks nice. You've got a vintage string tree just there, which I'll get onto that pretty soon. You've got the exposed end for the truss rod nut. So there's a rod that goes all the way down the neck, that when you turn it anti-clockwise, it raises the neck. When you turn it clockwise, it lowers the neck from the strings. So I think that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about the guitar itself and how it came out of the box and how it felt and played and so forth. So I must say, overall, very impressed. Now, I know the prices on Fender's website for these guitars are $1,349. I got this for about $940. So it's a really, really good guitar. And straight out of the box, it's playable, it's giggable, it's studio friendly. The frets themselves have been either nicely cut or nicely edged, because unlike other Fenders that I've played, and even to some extent my Fender Player Precision bass, there's a few frets that feel a bit sharp, but it will wear out in time as you play it. The actual sound, the finish of the guitar was very good. I didn't have any complaints. You can see here, I don't know if you can see, but the connection of the neck onto the body is very, very firm. There's no noticeable gaps. I've seen some Fenders where you could literally fit a business card in between the wall here of the body to the neck, and it's really, really tight, really solid feeling guitar. It's not a light guitar. It's got decent weight on it. The only thing that I probably will call out is, I don't know if it's the nut or even the vintage string tree, that sometimes when I tighten or loosen the B and the high E string, I am hearing like little ding ding, like the string's bumping along. It's not smoothly flowing, which is fine. You know, there's solutions around that, which I'll get onto as well when I cover modifications. So overall, there was no marks or anything like that. Funny enough though, there was a little blob of paint there. I don't know if you can see it. And on my Fender Player Precision bass, it's got the identical thing there. So I don't know if it's something to do with the particular painter or something like that, or the paint or the paint process, but it's just a little blob there that's coming out. It has nothing to do with the tone or playability, but you know, it's there. So overall, and there was no marks on it, no scratches, and you know, the neck's got a little bit of a nice grain on it that you can see in the back there. Nothing too pronounced. You know, you see some other brands, they have a really nice bird's eye maple and grain finish, and it looks really, really cool. So that's my overall impression of the Fender, and you know, it does really ring out. You know, not completely in tune, but I did give it a good thrashing last night. I played it for about 2.5, 3 hours. And overall, the way that the neck fits and sits is really, really good. There are some Fenders that when you pick them up, the neck is actually like more towards that way, and there's a noticeable gap here, especially sort of from around the 10th all the way to the 22nd fret. A way to compensate for this is you buy a neck shim. Now this is for bass guitars, hence why it's bigger. And if you notice, it's got a very thin wedge shape. And what you do is you unscrew the neck from the body and then place the shim in between there. So then when you refit the guitar, it's lifted the neck. Sorry, when you refit the neck onto the guitar, it's lifted it a little bit and evened out the space between the strings across the entire fret, which is really, really good. And that really helps. But thankfully, when I got this, I noticed that it wasn't, so it is a bit out of tune. You probably hear a little bit of rattle from the loose springs here on the bridge saddles. But now what I'll do is I'll get to the work that I'm going to do post-purchase. So with Fenders, you'll see that the headstock is straight to the body, whilst with a Gibson, it angles back about 17 degrees. So what that means, and also you'll probably see that the 6 machine heads are all the same height. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm going to do with this guitar is I'm going to remove these machine heads, and I'm going to put in place Fender locking tuners. And so what it does is that there's a little spiral mechanism here with a grip on the outer part of the mechanism that allows you to unscrew. So if you imagine you're screwing something that's lifting or dropping a steel pin inside the machine head, so when you put the string into the machine head, it just locks against the top roof there. And then what it does, it prevents you from winding it around and around and around and around again. Like you see there, you see it's probably like 3 or 4 goes. And then all you have to do is just pull the string, tighten it, clip it, and just literally turn it less than 1 revolution. It's that good. But those Fender locking tuners, these 3 machine heads come with a lower height. So that way, what we call the break angle, which is the angle at which the string lowers from the nut to the machine head, is greater. And you do need a good break angle if you look at the low E string there, because what that does is that it makes the string sit firmly in the nut. It prevents it from popping out, but it also allows better tuning stability. Another thing that I'm going to do also is I'm going to change the string tree. Now I've managed to buy a pair online on eBay for like $10. And what they have is they actually have little wheels that spin as well, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to minimize the friction from the nut onto the string tree. So when you turn the machine head, the string just moves very smoothly. Another thing I should call out about the Fender locking machine heads is they have a ratio of 18:1, which means every 18 revolutions of this machine head, the tuning mechanism makes 1 full revolution. So the higher the ratio, the more fine tuning that you can achieve on your string tuning, because that way you don't have to turn it just a little bit and then the whole string just tunes over because it's just turning too much. Like for example, if you have a 12:1 machine head, what that means is that you don't have to turn it as much to turn this as much. So if you were to do, let's say, 1 revolution on a 12:1, you would actually turn this a greater distance than had you had 18:1. So that's another thing that the Fender locking tuners have. I think these are 12 or 15:1, because I do find that even a small tune, my string will really, tune up very quickly. Another thing that I'm going to do is I've bought a set of Goto modern bridge saddles, and these are the exact same dimensions, at least width, as the Fender bridge saddles here. So I don't know if you can see, if I try and line them up, they're exactly the same. They're about 10.3, 10.5 millimeters in width. Now, the one thing that I need to call out here is that with these Goto bridge saddles, they're made in Japan. Really, really good quality. And if you look closely, there's a little slot which the string comes through the tremolo and rests on. So it sits right in the middle of the actual bridge saddle. However, these particular bridge saddles on the Fender do not have that. So the string can move around from between the bridge saddle screws. So then what happens is that you might get uneven distances between the strings. So that's another benefit that this particular set of Goto bridge saddles achieves. They cost about $60. The Fender locking tuners cost me about $95. And I'm also going to put in a set of Jim Dunlop strap holders, the bigger ones. I'm not actually going to use the Jim Dunlop strap lock set, just the actual parts that screw into the body. They're a little bit wider, and again, I picked them up for about $10 from eBay. So overall, I'm very, very impressed with this guitar. Will I change the pickups at some point? It depends, really. I've got to be mindful that if I change the pickups, that's probably another $250, $300, and I'm more than likely going to buy an Obsidian wire. And Obsidian is a company in New Zealand that allows you to replace all your componentry, internal componentry, like your pots, your switches, your jack, without needing any soldering. It's got there's a little spring mechanism set here that you just insert all the wires, and they connect onto the main circuitry, which connects onto all the components like your pots, your switches and your jacks, and you can do it all without soldering, which is really, really convenient. So one thing I will recommend is that the actual truss rod nut is 3/16, and I bought this on on Amazon for about $20 or so. If the music store that you're buying this guitar from has it, I urge you to get it. It's a lifesaver. It's really, really good because a 3/16, and the equivalent is also a 4mm, but it's not exactly the same size. And if you don't use exactly the same measurement on your bridge saddle, on your truss rod nut, you can wear away the threads inside. So you've just got to be mindful of that. So use this if you can get it. If they sell it at the store, it's $20. Say, mate, I'll buy the guitar, but chuck that in and a few sets of strings or something. And just before I close, I will show you the case that I got. I got this case chucked in as well. When I say chucked in, I had to pay for it. But it's a beautiful Fender molded hard case, and you've got your compartment there which you keep all your tremolo arm, your goodies, your picks, and God knows what else. And you can see that it's cut out to fit a right and left-handed Fender. So all up, I got this guitar and the molded case for just over a little over $1,100. And when you think about it, it's just such good value for what you're paying. That pretty much brings me to the conclusion of my review. Again, like, subscribe, leave any comments, do so respectfully, and thank you very much. And please look out for future videos that I'm going to post on the guitar in terms of the modifications, and also playing along to my favorite songs. Actually, one thing before I go, I will say is that I'm a Gibson Les Paul man, and what I do find is that I'm still trying to get used to this volume knob being pretty close to the pickup. And there's times where, yesterday I was just playing once, and I noticed that just playing it, I accidentally rolled back the volume knob. Now, there's a few ways around this, and the good guitarist adapts themselves to their environment rather than expecting their environment to adapt around the guitarist. What you can do to compensate is you can use this finger to position or rest your hand around the actual volume knob, or you can play like George Lynch used to play, where he used to raise his three fingers like that, in my dreams. Alternatively, if that still doesn't work for you, if you Google the words Strat knob tamer, as in taming of the shrew, there are silicone washers that you can remove this, place the silicone washer on there, and then push down on your knob, refit it again, and it really creates more friction when you're turning the volume knob. So then that way it really reduces, if not eliminates, the risk of you playing and then all of a sudden you turn down your volume knob. So that's just a tip. Again, the words are Strat knob tamer. So thank you very much. Frankie says hello. He's going to go and do a monster mash. Thank you very much for tuning in to my channels and my reviews. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Till then, enjoy playing music. God bless you all.